Hi. I'll be with you in a minute. As you are here, you can respond to my little poll. And feel free to introduce yourself, to say where you're from, what level you are, just to say hello and establish a little bit of contact. Yeah. Let me add a little message. Yeah. Good. Nice to see so many of you. By the way, if anyone wonders what SG is in the poll, that's Smarter German. It's a shortcut of my company. Yeah. I wonder why the broadcast doesn't. Here we are. Good. I'm checking this on my mobile at the same time, and I hope I can see some comments there. Because I will share my screen with you in a minute, and then I lose touch on my main computer. Yeah. Hi, Anne. States. Yeah, you are just waking up there, right? More or less. Austria. Nice. Yeah, I hope you had a lovely day or a lovely night, depending on where you are, and that you're ready for some beautiful German grammar. I'll keep it light. There's always more to dig deeper into. You will find out later. We'll have roughly 30 minutes presentation time. If it takes a bit longer, bear with me. And then we have 15 to 30 minutes Q&A. At 7 I have to finish. Yeah, if you want to leave earlier, feel free. You're a free human being. As you have registered, you will get a link tomorrow within 24 hours with a replay. Yeah, the replay will be available for, I think, a week or two. And if it's any good, I will sooner or later add it to my online course. Yeah, so if you're working with that, I will also, this is basically something I explain in my course anyhow, yet I look at things from a different angle. It's a little bit of a different format. So even if you have done this already there, it might be a nice refresher. Well, it's always nice. Noontime, yeah, guten Appetit. Yeah. Funny enough, I don't see any chat messages here. The bloody poll is in the way. Alles klar. Good. So I can see your comments on my phone. Let me share my screen with you. Let me see if I have everything ready. Yeah, looks good. And here we go. Application window with pleasure. Masterclass. Passive. So let me actually hope you can see it. If there's any issue, type in the chat. And if one person has an issue, just restart the meeting. There's a button, reconnect. That should do the job. And if more than one person shouts help, then I'll push a panic button, and then 15 seconds I'm back online. So don't run away. Everything will be fine. Here we go. So I call this the passive in action. There's possibly more action than what we can do today, but let's take a look at this. I gave you the agenda already, shouldn't take too long. Let's start with some examples so that anyone who is here and might not have heard of the passive actually gets an impression of what that is. So here is a sentence. If the translation is not 100% correct, bear with me, I'm not a native speaker, but I find this translation to be the most fitting one. Yeah, because there is a nature, the passive has a certain nature, and I think it's represented best by this translation. But feel free to disagree. So, das Auto wird repariert. The car is being repaired. And I give you a couple of examples, and I walk you through the examples during the presentation. Ich werde dazu gezwungen. It's a bit advanced. You cannot recognize gezwungen. To zwing somebody means to force somebody. Yeah, it's a higher level word, but it's okay. But here, repariert is not that obvious, but gezwungen should already ring a bell, unless you're a very beginner, but I'll get to that. Du wirst sofort eingestellt. Here again, you have a gestellt, and einstellen means to employ someone. You're being employed immediately. And you see there's 3 examples. You can possibly already guess there's a pattern. At least the first blue word is always the same. It's just in a different form due to the change in the first word, das Auto, ich and du. And here I have another example. Fisch wird hier nicht gekocht. So fish is not being cooked here. And that can be used as a kind of rough imperative if you want. So these are examples, and you see all of these, the blue marked words actually are what we use to build the passive. And you will see that in a minute. Here it is, how to build it. So we take a look at this one at a time. You see wird and repariert, and one of those is simply a form of werden, which, by the way, in 99% of all cases that you see it, doesn't mean anything. So it confuses people because they always want to translate things. You cannot really translate it in the sense of meaning. You can, of course, transform a German sentence with werden into an English sentence, as you have seen before. The car is being repaired. But werden doesn't mean is being. It means nothing. And it comes with what we call a past participle. What a participle is not necessarily necessarily important, but the past. The past is what is not now, it's what has passed. Yeah? So it's the Vergangenheit. So if you have already studied or learned about the German past tense, this word doesn't cause any trouble. It's actually pretty simple. If you haven't done that yet, you possibly will have to do this first. But nevertheless, let's see it as a primer. Even if this is your first day of German, it's pretty logical. Yeah, don't expect to understand everything instantly. If you work with my course, by the way, you will be introduced to this step by step, and also will find exercises that will make sure that you can use it intuitively. Yeah, it's not only about understanding it logically, but it's really about the ability to reproduce this without having to think of tables or any lists of things, or citing any grammar rules, because that doesn't really work. Just to give you a short overview, don't try to write this down. You can take a screenshot, but you can look these up anywhere. But I wanted them to be here. So werden is being conjugated. Conjugated means it's being adapted to the ich, du, he, she, it, we, you, and they. This is the common pattern in all languages I've learned. There might be exceptions, but most languages are sorted in this way. And you see it's an irregular verb. Yeah. So, and irregular means in do and he, she, it, as in this case, it changes the E to an I. That's a regular change in the irregularity of verbs. And this is something you'll be introduced to in lesson 2 or 3 already, maybe 4. You will see this quickly. There's a pattern here. And you see it's a bit tricky here with es wird repariert. So normally I'd expect a T here, yeah, but werden is a bit softer. So this is one of the more irregular verbs that you will come across, but with a bit of practice, you manage that easily. Now, Verwechslungsgefahr is a beautiful German word that you should write down and start to learn by heart. Verwechslung, there's a word wechseln in there, which is change. And ver usually indicates that something goes into the wrong direction. Not always, but often. So something changes in the wrong direction. Gefahr, gefährlich means danger. So there's the danger of mistaking something. Yeah? Danger of confusion. It's a beautiful word, so I left it in German. So, das Auto wird repariert. We had this before, the car is being repaired. That's the passive. In German, passiv. Yeah, you just cut the E and then you have the German word. How beautiful. Now, sometimes you might find something like this. Ich werde das Auto reparieren. Well, you see the position of Auto has changed, but that might just be because the Germans can do that. Yet you see werden, okay, werden, nothing special here, it's just adapts to ich, but repariert and reparieren. And this is your key indicator that this cannot be the passive. The passive always has the past participle. And while it could end in en, any word in ieren, like kopieren, no, not verlieren, that's an exception. Trainieren. There's 20, 30 of those. They end in T. Yeah, so this one here is an infinitive. Reparieren is what you find in the dictionary. And therefore it is what we call the future, or futur. I had a live class about the future, so you might remember I always speak about werden when it is part of the topic. But I will not go into too much detail. It's all in my course as well. Werden is very confusing. And by the way, werden here in the future tense also doesn't mean a thing, nada. And I just put this here because you see these are similar appearances. Then you might also have, ich habe das Auto repariert. By the way, let me translate the future one. I will repair the car. And you see, I will repair, I'm doing it. Nothing passive about this, I'm doing it actively. So ich habe das Auto repariert is simply the perfect past tense in German. It uses the past participle, repariert, like the passive, but it doesn't use werden, hence it's not the passive. It's very active, yeah? I have done this actively in the past. No magic here. So just keep that in mind. Don't try to remember this. It's always difficult to be exposed to similar information. There is something called a similarity blockage. So ideally you learn these things, and this is not learning, this is just having an overview. You learn these things with a little break in between, yeah? I will have the car repaired. Yeah, that's something I actually didn't take in here, but if you ask this at the end, Maureen, I'm happy to go into that. Yeah, keep that in mind. I'll highlight that as a question so I can quickly see it. I cannot. You do that. Yeah, happy to talk about it. That's the future tense. And of course, the passive is independent of time. It can be used in the past, which I will show you. In the present, as you see here, it's being repaired now, and in the future. Yeah.